At 47, Manny Pacquiao stands at a point in life where the cheers have become quieter. The bright lights feel different, and the memories of his greatest battles seem closer than ever. For a man who once fought his way from poverty to become one of the most celebrated boxers in history, the question is no longer simply how many fights he has won, it is what all those years of sacrifice have cost him. Manny Pacquiao was born on December 17, 1978, in Cebu, Bukidnon, Philippines. His childhood was far removed from the luxury and fame that would later define his life. He grew up in difficult circumstances, and from an early age, he learned something that would stay with him forever. Survival requires courage. But Manny was never just a fighter. He was intensely driven, deeply emotional, and remarkably connected to the people who came from the same struggles he knew. Boxing became his escape. It gave him a chance to change his life, but it also demanded almost everything from him. He left home as a teenager and began chasing a dream that seemed almost impossible. There were no guarantees, no easy path, just a young man with extraordinary determination, willing to endure pain because he believed his future could be different. And then, slowly, the world began to notice. Manny Pacquiao became a phenomenon. He fought bigger opponents, stronger opponents, and sometimes seemingly impossible odds. Every punch he threw carried the weight of his past. Every victory seemed to represent more than just himself. For millions of Filipinos, Manny became a symbol of hope. His speed was unbelievable, his aggression was fearless. But perhaps what made people love him most was the feeling that, despite becoming a global superstar, some part of that poor kid from the Philippines was still inside him. Yet success has a price. Years of brutal training and professional fighting can leave marks that do not always appear on a championship belt. The body remembers every punch, every injury, every long night in the gym. And when a fighter reaches his late 40s, the reality becomes impossible to ignore. At 47, Manny's story is no longer about proving that he can conquer the world inside a boxing ring. It is about what happens when a man who spent his entire life fighting finally has to confront time itself. That may be the hardest opponent he has ever faced. There is something deeply emotional about watching a legendary athlete grow older. Fans remember the younger Manny, the explosive fighter who seemed almost unstoppable. They remember the speed, the celebrations, the roaring crowds. But time does not care about fame. It moves forward for everyone, and perhaps that is why Manny's journey feels so personal, because behind the champion is a human being who sacrificed years of his life, chasing greatness. He became a boxer, a national hero, a politician, a father, and a global celebrity. But through all of it, one thing remained clear. Manny Pacquiao never forgot where he came from. His greatest legacy may not be the titles or the victories. It may be the millions of people who saw their own struggles reflected in his story. The young boy who once had almost nothing became a man who inspired an entire nation. And now, at 47, the most touching part of his journey may be realizing that even legends cannot stop the clock. But perhaps they do not have to. Because greatness is not about staying young forever. It is about leaving something behind that continues to live after the spotlight fades. Manny Pacquiao spent his life fighting opponents in front of him. Now, his greatest victory may simply be looking back at everything he survived and knowing that, against all odds, he made it. And maybe that's what makes his story so emotional. The champion may grow older, the punches may slow down, the crowds may eventually move on, but the story of the boy who fought his way out of poverty and became a legend will never truly disappear.